What up guys, you're tuning into Nikki MGTV for another military video for all your military video needs. As always, if you guys have questions or comments, you can leave them down below, and here on YouTube I'll respond to you, or via Snapchat or Instagram. A lot of you guys were on Snapchat last night talking me up, so good interacting with you guys. I like doing the video because I like to see you guys, because I like to see a face behind who's writing comments and who's following the channel. So make sure you send me a video, whether it's just saying what's up or if you have a question. I may do a Snapchat Q&A, so send questions there via video. One of the things I was thinking about is we're always looking to prepare for boot camp, and there's skill sets that you're gonna get that you didn't think about. And one of those skill sets for me was simple stuff like putting the uniform together. The uniform is something that if I teach you it now, you'll most likely have an easier time when you transition through boot camp. This comes down to everything from having a proper shave to wearing it properly, how everything is placed, boots are shined, things like that. Today's video is going to kind of cover the whole boot aspect, because it's not just your boots. It's what will signify what type of shipmate you are, what kind of sailor you are while you're in boot camp, or even when you get out to the fleet, if you can maintain that boot camp quality. As you guys are going to be leaving boot camp, going to A school, and you will eventually be going to possibly C school or your first duty station, you have to maintain everything from boot camp. You can't come into your work just looking like you never went to boot camp. You have to make sure everything is squared away, because that is your representation and presentation of yourself. Coming into the Navy, I will tell you this, that 50% of the battle of everything you do is showing up on time and wearing the right uniform. If you do that, like, the rest of the day will go pretty smooth for the most part. Let's get into this video. I'm going to talk to you guys about shining the boots. This is going to be a little bit different, but this is going to be a several part series because I don't want to bore you guys with like a 30-minute video. I'm here in my kitchen because this is a place where if you're going to shine your boots, you need to make sure it's somewhere you don't mind getting dirty. And I say that because the black polish will get everywhere. Even in boot camp, you should probably get a shirt that you don't care about, one of the white shirts they give you or something. Lay that down and then shine your boots over that, because it's hard to get off the floor and you'll get yelled at. So to give you guys a little insight, I did some training recently this past week, some combat tactical training for corpsmen, where we were learning how to apply tourniquets and be in the field. My team, we had to wear the NW Type 1, the blue camouflage uniform. If you guys join in October or later, you're going to get the new green one, the Type 3. So just to give you an example of what my boots look like now. You see they're gray, they got some wear and tear on them, like so. And the other one, as you can see, right here, we've got some fake blood crusted on there that we're gonna have to get off. So this also brings a good point. When you guys are in Great Lakes and you're going to boot camp, you're gonna possibly go in the winter time. So they're gonna salt the road, so you have to know that your boots are going to get salty. They're gonna look white and crusty. So what I did all the time was first thing when we got back, I opened up, we have a personal locker where we store all of the polish and personal things, and I would just instantly go right over it first thing. So that's what I was known for, was just always making sure my boots were good to go. That was one of the first things I did. Take out all of the straps here and then get those out of there. And while I'm doing this, I'm just going to give you guys some insight. The Navy instruction just says the boots have to be black. So if you're working in an area where they're going to get dirty all the time, I would say just make sure they're black. But I'm going to go over pretty much how to make sure you have these looking up to boot camp standards, because black boots will not cut it in boot camp, nor should they cut it in the fleet, but there's times where they're going to get dirty or messy, so that's why I'm covering it here. So I took all the laces out so far, as you can see there. When you're in boot camp, you're going to get one of these, part of what's issued to you, which is a kiwi polishing kit to make sure that you can shine your boots. So you got a couple things in here. This, trash. There's like two things that matter in this entire thing, in my opinion. And everyone has their own policy or way of which they shine boots. I'm showing you this way because it works for me and it's pretty basic. In my opinion, these three things are what are going to make your boots look good. You need the brush to clean it. Obviously polish, and this little rag. This rag is going to burn out really fast, so again, take one of those white t-shirts or whatever shirt you don't care about, and immediately use that to shine your boots, because this lasts not very long. I think I shined one time with this and it's already looking bad. So the first step you're going to do here is you're going to end up just cleaning it like so with the brush. Now, as again, I'm doing this over the sink so that way I don't have any mess. So you're just going to brush that off just like so. Get it all gone. I had some dust on there. Popping out this part, the front, getting all that cleaned out there. If you really needed to, you could also use some water for any physical dirt that probably won't come off with a brush. And then you could dry it off just to help out, get some of the harder dirt to come off. Dry that off like so. You're gonna dry it off immediately. You don't want leather to get wet, but it's just to get that little bit off of there. You're gonna see the boot now looks pretty much black. Pretty easy to make it look black, but that's not what we're here to do, so we're gonna get this thing ready to go. I still actually have my belt in here and boot bands. You're gonna learn what those are. Now the second portion of this, we're gonna get to the kiwi black polish you're gonna need. When it comes to the kiwi polish, do not drop it if at all possible. You want it to stay intact as much as possible. So as you can see here, it is one piece, which is already starting to crack. Once this is everywhere, it is very difficult to maintain. Try and keep it together as much as possible because it's very difficult to actually scoop up as well. You're gonna need the tin. The tin is very important. You're gonna add some water to this. This is the point where it really differentiates what you do. Some people, like me, use water. Some people use spit. And some people will use a lighter to heat up the black polish here. And then they'll spread it in that way. I don't like the lighter because eventually you use it long enough, it's gonna burn you. The spit, obviously, I don't want to spit. Then you can use the water, which probably makes more sense. The first step to this is you're going to take your finger like this, and this brings another tip. You're going to wrap it around like so. The other tip I have for you guys is clean your fingernails when you're done with this, because military regulation says your fingernails are supposed to be clean. Mine are pretty clean. Make sure you clean them when you're done with this, because the recruit division commanders may look at this. So what you're going to do, I have my tin here. Gonna drop my finger in that, let that soak up a little bit. This cloth is kind of thick. You're gonna take this circular motion, get that in there. Remember, you don't want to crack at all, so I try and get rid of the cracks if possible. Alright, so now you're gonna take this little black spot and you're gonna do it on the toe. To give you guys some insight, I have some things hanging off there. I'm going to try and work in as much as possible. If you end up having a scratch on there and a little indent, I don't know if you can see that, but if you end up having an indent, just go over it if possible. No, I don't think anyone's going to get too mad at you if you have a little scratch in your boot. I think if anything, that means you work. There's a couple things I want to tell you guys as I'm doing this. When you get out of boot camp, you will see people that use this stuff called, it's like a paint gloss where you paint the top of the toe. And they'll put a piece of tape directly across and then paint this glossy stuff on it. Don't buy that. And I'll tell you why. Because what ends up happening is that paint, the Evergloss or whatever it's called, will crack. And then your boots will look really bad. And when it cracks, you have to keep doing a new fresh coat. And eventually it just never looks good again. It looks good maybe the first time, but after that, it doesn't do the trick. A lot of people are going to tell you that you only need the toe. Now, the toe is what is most noticed, but it's overrated in my opinion. Because people will just do the toe right here, get it super shiny, and that's it. And I say it's overrated because I've seen people with a really shiny toe and the rest of the boot looks like trash. Like it looks gray, hasn't been blackened, it's dirt. Just take a little time just to do the rest of the boot. And when I say that, I mean even this part right here on the boot. So I'm doing the toe first. I always start off with the toe and then I work around the boot after that. So what I do is I'll blacken the sides because it gives them the full black look. And a lot of times dirt will build up right here on the sides because obviously that's what you're using to step on. It makes it look almost new. I'm going to show you the back here. I don't know if you can totally see it, but I'm going to show it how it is now. And there's a little dirt there and stuff like that I couldn't get off. But we're going to throw some good old black polish on there. And it will look a little bit darker and better. And we're going to do a comparison between the left and right boot when I'm done, so that you guys understand what's happening. The other thing is, don't wear nice clothes while you're doing this. While you're in boot camp, you should probably take off your blouse, your top, and make sure you don't get any of the polish on you. I can't stress that enough. Obviously, I'm doing it at my sink. This is an old workout shirt, so I'm not too worried about it. I did the toe once with the polish, dipped it in water, and I keep going over the toe over and over and over again. Eventually, you're going to see some shine come out of it. Right now, it's very dull, and I'm going to set this up on the table here so you can see as I'm polishing. You're going to see the swirls here, like so. Just keep swirling around, 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 around. And I'm starting to get a little bit of shine out of it. Even the black polish will crack a little bit along the toe here. That's just because you're obviously going to bend down and be doing other stuff. I'm going to do several different coats, multiple different times. So right now I'm just getting the black in there just to make sure I get a good base coat. You're really clumping the layers on, then you're working them in and then brushing it off over and over and over again. Your finger is going to hurt eventually, so you may need to take a break in between when you're doing this. So as you can see here, I've got a nice little shine on the top of the toe there. I'm going to work it in more. Alright, so fast forward a little bit. I have completed one boot in comparison to the second boot. I'm hoping you guys can notice. My right boot, shiny. Left boot, a little dull, needs some work. I also want to retract one thing I said. These little things actually do kind of come in handy, but I see that they'll probably wear out. They're good for spreading it, but you can always just use a rag on your finger too. It was just better for the other parts of the boot, which were on the outsides, around the sides, and the back. You could shine here too if you were getting really motivated, but no one's going to notice except you. So when you're in boot camp, everything comes down to attention to detail, even including these shoelaces here. What you're going to notice is how you put them inside the boot. So the first step is you can't have any bridges. If you do the laces like this, where it's coming over the outsides, that's not acceptable. You have to be the other side, so I'll show you that way. In comparison, you can see here how it goes underneath like so, and also the order in which you crisscross them has to be right over left. When you look at it, it's going to be left over right when you're looking down at your feet, but when you're being inspected, it will be right over left when the recruit division commander are coming to inspect you. So here is a final example of what you should be seeing is the right over left pattern all the way to the top. When you tie them, you're most likely going to wrap them once around your leg and then come back around and tie it, because there's too much lace for just tying it in the front, and then you will then tuck it in between the lip of the tongue and here and around the sides, so that way you can't see them. Alright guys, I think that sums up what you can expect from putting together your military boots. I'm sure you guys didn't expect for that much information on just wearing a pair of boots, but again, when you guys are joining the military, you guys are going to have a lot of attention to detail. Some of these concepts could be applied to other branches that do have leather shoes. But as always, guys, if you guys have any other questions or comments, more videos will be added to the series. But if you have other questions or comments, make sure you leave them down below in the comments or write me on Instagram, direct message, or Snapchat if you want to see my daily life and what happens in the military from my perspective. Doing a Snapchat Q&A possibly, so send me the Snapchats. I'm going to film some of them as they come through. So yeah, guys, appreciate everything. As always, guys, I love you. I'll see you next time. Lost in a